Hello and welcome to the show. My guests today are Kelli Barrett and Amy Ortmann. You know, I love a good entrepreneurial story, especially this one. Two best friends in business together who managed to still be best friends. It all starts when Kelli decided to leave her sedentary job in search of health and wellness. And she started with a boot camp where people just dropped $5 in the bucket to attend. It has since grown to a 52,000 square foot gym and a community of all shapes and sizes who work out with them every single day. Welcome to the show, Kelli.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll be talking with your business partner, Amy, here in just a bit, but I wanted to start with you. I want to share this story and the journey that you've gone through to get to where you are not only making fitness a priority in your own life, but you're helping other people do it too. So let's go back to the beginning because fitness was not always part of your life. And you went through a big metamorphosis and some big changes to make that happen. And I remember it being a real, you and I have known each other for a long time. And I remember it being a night and day decision. Like it was you can look back and go, that was my turning point. Not everyone has that specific turning point, or maybe they go through it a couple of times, but for you, it was a big change.
Absolutely, it was. It was.
Tell me about that.
So, if we just kind of rewind the clock a little bit. So, to say that fitness wasn't a part of my life at all is kind of not really the case. I kind of dabbled a little bit when I was in high school. I was overweight then, and and kind of was locally found these little like step aerobics classes and stuff, and I would kind of dabble in that. I was always trying in some
Right.
capacity.
But to think that you would own a fitness studio someday, that's what I meant. Yeah.
You would have told my 17-year-old self that this
Yeah.
is my future, it would have been a joke.
Exactly.
So if we rewind the clock, I was working full time in healthcare. I was a mother of two small kids. Roughly around 2006, I found myself working in a career where I was making great money um, and what I thought was relatively happy. However, I was very overweight. I was sedentary. I sat behind a desk for many, many hours every day. And then just came home and tried to do what every other busy working mother does, and that's keep my head above water and take care of the family and the husband and the household and everything. It was the end of that year, that 2006, where do not excuse me, 2000, the end of 2006, the beginning of 2007, where I had been working seemingly day and night. We worked in I worked in a hospital, and it was end of the month, and it was also end of fiscal year, and so the pressure was on. I worked in the medical records and auditing department, and so we were always trying to make sure those bills were done, and we were on top of the game for that hospital system. And um, the CFO came in and said that even though we were at the top of our game, we were only going to be allowed to have one day off for Christmas. We could have Christmas Day off, but then we had to work the entire rest of the week, and we all had to have 40 hours. And it was kind of a breaking point for me. We were all, I could probably speak for all the ladies that were in that office, but at that point, I kind of came to this realization that the job was killing me, the sedentary lifestyle was killing me, the constant grabbing dinner on the go, trying to feed my family was killing me. And so after a not to be dramatic, but semi mental breakdown and lots of tears, I went to my husband and I said I was going to quit my job. And he was very supportive at the time, and I did that. I walked in a couple of weeks later and in my resignation. And so by the beginning of 2007, I was free and clear. And I realized at that point, this was an opportunity for me to, first of all, learn how to live on a lot less money and to try and find a way to utilize this break to do something about my health.
Well, let's stop there for just a second because there are people watching this who have the same feelings you have right now. And because they're trying to do all the things too. And to walk in and quit your job, that is a really big deal. And to figure out how to still make all of this work, even financially, that's what holds a lot of people back. But you're also not feeling so great about yourself. You know, you have to make a change. And was it a real clear decision? No doubt about it. Were there times after you quit when you thought, what have I just done?
Oh,
What was that like?
I mean, it took a couple weeks, or I said it took about a couple weeks for me to actually go in and give the resignation because I had to sit through and look at budget and finances and wonder if it was even possible. And I think what I've learned now, looking back, is that the more money you make, the more money you spend. That when we prioritize time and wellness over money, and I think it all comes out and works itself out if the priorities are right. And so it was certainly after I had quit, I had this weird guilt, right? This guilt of how dare you take that money away from your family so you could work on yourself? Well, I was constant. And even before I quit my job, I had quit and started new career paths in the medical field before because I was having that mom guilt. Should I stay home? Should I work? Should I work? Should I stay home? It was this constant thing back and forth. And so I think once I got over the hump of realizing that we could still live just fine and keep a roof over our head and have all the necessities of life that we needed, that I was able to then stop worrying about the financial aspect and work on myself. And I really kind of knew, I think, inherently deep down that if I could get me right, then I would be healthy and well enough to turn around and start making money somehow again. So
And at what point did you start to think, that money's gonna come from fitness? Because you made some physical decisions. I think it was that you just made yourself go to the gym consistently. You know, that was just where you started, was moving your body.
yeah,
And
it
tell us, I mean, I know it's a big transition, but from going from that to thinking you must have really gained some self-esteem and some momentum in that, starting to think about helping other people down the road.
It was. I really like, Lisa, I never thought that this was gonna be something that I would be good at. And it was I was a gym member there at the gym that I started at for probably about 3 months before I was approached by one of their coaches who recommended that I get certified and I teach. Well, first of all, I was mortified at the thought of getting up in front of a group of women and doing exercise because I just feared the judgment.
Well, I can say this, that, knowing you as I have for many years now, when I could see that in you, and when that person approached you, they saw how you were showing up, and of course, you couldn't see it in yourself yet, and now you probably look back at that and go, you know, that
Well, now I see in other people. I mean, all of the coaches that I have now, I've grown from being members, that I see it in them. So
you recognize it now.
and I'm thankful to her for really kind of being persistent. She said something to me that day when she came back up to me because I originally said no. And then she came up to me again and said, you know, just think about it because maybe you just might be relatable to some of the women here, that you're not 5'9" and 120 pounds, right? I had a real body. I was probably 185 pounds at the time. I was trying to lose weight. My highest was 240, and I was kind of I would juggle between this 30 or 40 pound weight loss and weight gain my whole life, it seemed. But it was about 6 months or so into my teaching local classes. So I started at a local gym that I was working at in the beginning, and then I kind of trickled into a couple other local gyms that taught some classes there and started to gain a following. And I started to see people who were lining up for classes and who were coming in 45 minutes early to make sure that they got a bike or got a spot in class. And then it kind of came full circle that I was asked to be the manager in that gym. I was asked to run the whole group exercise program. And then I was part of a team that grew that particular corporate gym's Group X program to an outdoor boot camp. And it was the wheels started turning. And I probably to this day, if one particular thing would not have happened, I probably wouldn't be where I am. And that is that that company had hired a manager who was not a very nice woman. And she kind of made it her goal while she came into our gym to let everyone know there that she was better and bigger and badder than anybody in there. And she came up to me one day as I was walking to the back after a class, and she put her arm around my shoulder and she said, "Hey, I'm thinking that I'm going to consolidate your job into mine." And she then walked away. Like, she patted me on the shoulder and walked away. And so I went home and I said, I guess I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this in a different way. And it was that weekend or maybe the weekend after that I posted on social media and I said, "Hey, I'm going to do a boot camp in the park for whoever wants to join me. Like, hush, hush, put $5 in the bucket to cover my, my travel and whatever, my time. And let's see how this goes." And so that's kind of where me realizing that, okay, I was making peanuts
Right.
teaching classes, but could I build something from the ground up? And that was when the boot camp started. It really started, and it was consistently getting two or three or four new participants each weekend until we were.
That's word of mouth, which is that's really organic, authentic growth. I've been to your boot camp.
Yeah.
And and it's a boot camp.
Yeah.
It's work. It's
Yeah.
work, but it's also fun and energy is good. And I want to talk about that. We'll take a break and we'll bring Amy on because you started out this business and then you brought on a partner. It started out as a mobile fitness
Right.
business and you had to make some decisions again and pivot. That's what business is about is
Yeah.
pivoting, know when to pivot. Don't be afraid of the pivot. And it's gotten you where you are now. So let's take a break. We'll
Okay.
be back with you and with Amy and talk about how you guys came together to make this business work. We'll be back
Okay.
in just a moment. We are back. We've been talking with you, Kelly. It started out as Blast Mobile Fitness because it was a mobile business when you first started it. Boot camps that traveled and mentioned that you're in Houston, Texas. And Amy, then you came on board partway through. So, Kelly, you decided to lease a building because you were using property of a school and then they were going to charge you as much money almost or more than you would to get your own space. And so, at what point did you two come together because you'd been working out together? You'd been part of the gym unofficially for a while, Amy. And just tell me about your introduction to Kelly and how you guys came together. Really, I mean, you're best friends, but how you came to know her through the gym.
So I met her when she was the group X manager at the gym back in 2009. I had moved home from college, and I was in a place where I just needed to start moving my body as well. I was an ex college athlete. I had gained weight. I was feeling great about myself, and when I joined the gym that she worked at, I remember like being on the elliptical outside watching her teach a spin class, and she played Kelly Clarkson song and Journey songs, and I was, like, kinda keeping my ear and eyes, like, peeked on the room, but I just wasn't comfortable yet to kind of go and take a spin class because I had never done one before, and so kind of 2 months into being a member at that gym, I finally decided to go into that class, and really the rest is history. From my very first spin class with her, I knew that she was something special, and the energy that she brought to people was something spectacular and different and unique and something I had never experienced before. Being an athlete myself and just a part of a team, really since I was little, I can't remember a time in my life when I wasn't playing on some sort of sport team. I just knew the importance of being a part of something special and or a community, what that meant and how that made me feel. And so really from that first spin class and then being able to see her grow her outdoor boot camp business, and I was a member of that too. And I was just a member. I was someone who believed in the message that she wanted to share with fitness and wellness with people. And it was people of all shapes, sizes, fitness levels, kids, parents, grandparents, and to be able to be a part of seeing her business grow and then the segments and the challenges along the way. It really it just developed into me being more involved, whether it was in setup of classes or leading classes. I was like, the stagehand. I was the groupie.
Well, she was always the person that was offering to come and help where because she saw that I was kind of this one woman
Show
show.
one person show. That's what I was just gonna say.
So she was always the one that would stay after and help me clean up or whatever. And then she just kind of just organically just became my go-to as someone that I could trust with my class and my people. And she kind of became a spokesperson and just ended up just becoming that person that I could see myself building a business with. And so I kind of gave her at the time, which wasn't a lot of equity to give, but sweat equity is what I always knew that Amy was in some way, shape, or form earning a part of the business.
Right. And so you guys made that actually official at some point,
Yes.
and you own the business together now.
We do. Yeah.
And so when you think about, friendships don't always survive business partnerships. And so what do you think makes it work for both of you? I think partly the organic way you came together, and that you came together through this fitness journey. But what would you say about each other that makes it work so that when it does get tough, you guys have each other's backs?
Well, I can say that, there's a pretty big age gap between us. I don't think out there that there is, but I don't think I've ever had a connection where with anyone who really just understands me. And I can be a little much, I'm pretty abrasive sometimes, and I'm very blunt, and I'm high maintenance sometimes. I like things the way that I like them. I have high expectations, and I think Amy has that same thing in her. And so, to say that we don't ever butt heads or we don't ever have a difference of opinion would be untrue. We do, but we are really good at listening to one another and understanding each other's perspective and ultimately being able to concede to each other where we need to. And there's none of that. There's no competition between us. We're both in it for the exact same reason. We have very similar stories of why we do what we do. And it just it works, and it works really well.
And how about you, Amy?
To expand on that, I think that it really comes down to trust as well. I've seen, especially this business and Kelli in her personal life, uh, the struggles that she's been through to keep the business afloat and changes that had to happen along the way to be able to make where we are today thrive. The fact that we started and I saw her start with a $5 boot camp drop in to now be in a 5,200 square foot facility with 2 studios, with the opportunity and forethought for us to even grow outside of this space to knock down that wall behind us is truly incredible. But I believe that a lot of it comes down to the belief that we have in each other, the community that we've built. We couldn't do any of this without our members believing in us and supporting us along the way. It really just comes down to the trust and the belief that we have in each other, but also the belief that we have that we can be bigger than what we are currently.
Let's take a break, and I want to finish up and talk about the community because I follow you both on social media. I follow the gym on social media, and I'm always impressed by, like you said, mothers, fathers, kids, grandparents. You really serve everyone in your community. So let's take a break. We'll be right back. We are wrapping up, and we were talking about your community, both of you, Kelly and Amy, that you've created with your gym in Houston. Went from a $5 drop bucket, boot camp, Kelly, that you did on your own once to this huge 50,000 square foot plus gym that you have. And I've been following you on social media, as I mentioned, and I see pictures of the same people over and over and over and over again. And some of them I think have been with you since the start.
Yeah.
And
We
that's
can
retention in a gym is tough.
It is. It's probably one of the hardest things to do, and it's the one thing that we're pretty good at. I have to say, we have some incredible people that have been here and with us for so long. Um, we have a really good percentage of our people that have been here for longer than 5 years, and we have a pretty good handful of folks that have been here for 10 years or longer. So I think it shows just what the underlying foundation of our place is, and that is to bring people together and to show that sometimes, most people don't are super stoked about starting a fitness journey. They're intimidated and they're scared and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And when you walk in the door and you know your friends are going to be there, it makes for such a different experience. And so
One thing I'll add to that, go ahead, finish that thought. I want to.
I was just going to say that it's part of what we do every single morning and every afternoon and every evening. At the start of our class, we invite everyone to go and take a moment to walk around and say hello. And if you don't know each other, introduce yourselves. We always highlight new members so other people in our gym get to know them if they're coming in new. We always mention someone if they're new in the class. We really try to go over and beyond to make sure that everyone feels very comfortable and welcomed in our gym.
I love that. And one of the things too is that you have, sometimes you have family events. And it's an interesting concept, right? We put our kids in the daycare while we go work out. And that's important. We have to have that time. But you also try and incorporate the children, the extended family into this to make family fitness a fun thing. Would you agree, Amy? I mean, part of that is making sure that they have access to you.
Well, us knowing their kid's name and their story is just as important as the parent and our member name.
Mhm.
They really are. They're part of our family just as much as the members.
And so when you think about the community events that you do, because I've seen a lot of them, you do holiday events, you do different things, you make pumpkins fun, like you do all these things. And some of that is good. It's marketing, it's promoting, it's all of that. But it just really feels like you just want to share a holiday with somebody, be part of that holiday or that event and make it part of their schedule to include you in their day.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine not spending a Thanksgiving Day morning or Christmas Eve morning without coming here and seeing the people that we see day in and day out. And it's interesting to hear it from that perspective as well, because for us it's become tradition year after year. But yes, like we're starting our holidays with our fitness family, and I never even thought it from that perspective. Yeah, so you mentioned it that way.
Well, as an outsider looking in, that's what I see.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I
I
see.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate you both. I'm proud of both of you. I love that you are two really strong women running a business together and doing it well, and you've maintained your friendship all of these years. And Kelly, you in particular, having known you back when you were struggling and wanting to quit your job and not knowing what that would look like and knowing the hurdles you've overcome. It's a real testament to people watching who think that where they're at is where they're gonna stay, and even the decision you made all that time ago to make the change, you've had to continue to make decisions that keep moving you in the direction of the dream that you're living now, so you are living the dream, both of you. I'm happy
We are
for.
we definitely are.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here, and, congratulations on your 13 years officially.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
thank you.